Welcome to another video. So in this video, we are going to develop very interactive application, but the specialty is in this application we are not going to use a database. So we are going to use the local file system. So that means we are going to use a CSV file, and we are going to save the data to the CSV file, and also we are going to retrieve data from CSV file. So the CSV file will work as a database. So let's start this activity. So in this activity, first we need to download this template, so you can log into your VLE account, and after that you can download this template. So first I will create a project, PHP project. So then I'm going to delete this index.php file because I'm going to use the template now. So I will go to my desktop and I'm going to extract this template now. So my netbean folder, so I will go to documents and netbean, not netbean, so we need to go to the exam. So I will go to C drive, and here we are having exam folder, and under inside that we are having something called ht docs. So this one, so these are my projects. So now in this case my project is PHP project 18. Inside that we don't have any file because we already deleted the index file. So now I'm going to add my index .php file. So it's on my desktop, this one, and I'm going to extract it first. So I'm going to get these two folder and the file, and then I'm going to put it here. So now once I go to the netbean, now you can see my file is there, but we are having error. So that error is actually from the bootstrap framework side, so therefore we don't need to worry about that one. So this is my index file. So if I run this one, first I will run the exam. So if I run this one, so this is the application. So this is what I'm going to develop today. So here, once user add a task, so that task will be displayed here, and then we are having two actions. One is we can delete the task, and other one is we can mark this task as completed. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. So in this case, first I will create a CSV file. So you can go to new and you can get empty file from here, and then we will name this CSV file as data.csv. So in this data.csv file, so we are having two information to save. So according to our activity, okay, so we will go one by one. The first task is we need to have an input form, create an HTML form from the input field for the task name. So that is there. So we already got a template, and if you go to the template, here you can see we are having an input field. So this is the form, and we are having an input field here to get a task. The name of this input field is actually task. And then the next one is use PHP to handle the form submission. So that means we need to have a submission button here, submit button. So that is also there. So this is the submit button. Now the other thing is we need to have an action to where we are going to submit. Action and method. The method is post, that is already defined. and the action, so we will use the action as add task dot php. Now I need to add this add task dot php file, so new PHP file and add task. So now in this case, first I need to check uh, whether this task is set. Okay, whether this task is set. Else, if that is not set, so then I'm going to redirect this user into the home page again. Location index.php. So I will redirect user into the home page if this task input field is not set. So therefore I'm going to check $post, because post is the method, and the name of this input field is task. Okay, if it is set, so then first according to this we need to check whether this is empty or not. Okay, so if so we are going to use another if condition here. If, so I will create a variable to store this task, then it is easy for me to refer. Okay, if this task is empty, so we can use empty function. If the task is empty, so then uh, we are going to redirect this user to the home page again, the index page again, with an error. So we will pass a query string here. So here we will use status. So status is equal to 0, so that means there is an error. So now if not the else part, that means if it is not empty, so then we need to add this user not user add this task into our task list. But first we will handle this one, because here once user redirected with an query string, so we need to get that query string, and based on that value, so we need to display some message to the user. So we will handle that part first, and I'm going here and here. So if I run this interface now, you can see that we are having some additional space after this add task button. So in that space we can display a message to the user. So we will do it like that. So I'm going here, where's that button? Okay, so this is the button. Okay, so in this case, so I'm going to check whether we are getting a value to this status, because status is the parameter we use to pass uh, a value from the server side. So therefore first we need to check whether this is set, because if it is set only, we are going to execute this part, because in the very first case we don't have such a value, so then we don't need to display any message here. So the query string, so normally the query string values are passing through a get method. Then we can use this $get, and we need to pass the parameter value here. So the status is the parameter value. If it is set, so then I'm again going to create a variable here called status, so that's easy for me to refer again. Okay, like this, and then we are going to check the value of this status, and if this status is equal to 0, so that means we are sending equal to 0 once user is submitting the form without adding any task. So then we are going to handle that case here. So if it is status 0, so then we need to display a message that you must enter a task to process or something like that. So we are going to enter that one. So we will use label component, label element, which is mentioned in this template, to do that thing. So I'm going to copy this label element with these text, and here first I'm going to close the PHP part, and here I'm going to put this one. Okay, and now this is the message that we are going to display. So I will delete this part, and so I'm going to use the message like please add a task to continue. So something like that we can display, please add a task to continue. So here, since this is an error message, so also we are using Bootstrap framework, so we can use this text danger class, so then it will display in red color, so then that will be nice. Okay, so this is how we are going to handle it. First we are going to check whether this is status parameter is already set. If it is set, so then we are going to save that value under this status variable, and we are going to check whether this status variable value is equal to 0, because we are passing 0 from the server side here if we are having empty task. Okay, so let's run this one and see whether it's working. So now I'm going to submit without any task now. So now you can see it's telling that please add a task to continue. So that part is okay now, and then the validation part is okay. Now we need to store the task data to the CSV file with two values. One is the task and other one is the status. Okay, so in that case, to refer it, so I will add some header as well to this CSV file. One is task and another one is status. So these are headers. Okay, so this is just to give some idea to the users what is the first column and what is the second column. Now I'm going to add details, or that means the task information, to the CSV file if the user is submitting some task. Okay, so now this is the else part. So in the else part, what we need to do, first we need to open this file. Okay, so I'm going to use $handle variable here, and I will call to fopen, and fopen we need two things. One is the first one is the file path with the name, and here we are having it in the local directory, so therefore we can directly refer it like this. Otherwise we need to provide the actual path of this file and the mode. So in this case, so we are going to append some data, because we need to keep the existing data. We are not going to delete those data, so therefore we are using append. So we discussed that if we are going to use append, so then the cursor will be at the end. If you are going to use write, the cursor will be at the zero, at the first place, and it's going to delete all the data which are there in the file. So therefore in this case we need to use append. Okay, then we are checking whether this file is opened in this mode without having any errors. So we can check whether we are getting any false value, because if there's any error when the PHP is going to open this file with this mode, so then it will give a false value. So if it is not false, so then we can think that okay, so the file is successfully open. So if it is open, so then we are going to write data to this file. So then first we need to have a data. So we discussed that when you are handling this CSV files, we are having some special methods in PHP. In fcsv fput CSV, so this put CSV, so this is the method. So in this method you can see, first we are telling the $handle, so that means what is the file that we are going to work, and the other one is the fields, and but we need to submit it as an array. Okay, so therefore we need to create an array here. So in this array, so we are having two fields. The first one is the so this is our data.csv file. First one is the task, other one is the status, and according to this activity, so you can see that the new task, the for the new task, the status will be in progress. Okay, so therefore in this case, so first we are going to add the task. So already we saved task under this task variable, and after that we are going to add this status like this. So then we are going to use this fput CSV, and we are going to add this data. So after that we are going to close this file. We are going to close this file. So once this is completed, so that means once we added this file data, so once we added this data to the CSV file, so now again we need to redirect this user to the home page. but this time we need to redirect with a success message. So in this case, status, we will use the status as 1. Okay, so now we need to handle that this status as well. So here if this is 0, so we are going to do this part, but again we are going to use another if else if here. So if this is equal to 1, if this is equal to 1, so then we are going to display success message, so that now this is not danger, success message. And here we are going to check, okay, so your task is successfully added to, your task is successfully added to the list. So that is the message we are going to display to the user. Okay, now let's see whether it's working. So now I'm going to add task 1 and I will click this button. Okay, your task is successfully, okay, so there's a spelling mistake, successfully added. Successfully added to the system. Now we will check the data.csv. Yes, it's already added. So you can see this is the task and it is in progress stage. Now we will move to the next part. So in the next part, so we need to display this task. So we are going to use PHP to read the task file and display this information to the users. Okay, so if no tasks are available, so we need to display a message indicating that there are no tasks. Okay, so now let's move here. To the index file. So this is the place we are actually adding this data. You can see that we are having this table row, and we actually need to repeat this table row for each and every task. So that is what we need to do. So therefore first I'm going to add some dynamic programming into this part by adding some server-side programming. So here what we need to do, we need to open this first we need to open this data.csv file, and after that we need to read this file and we need to display this information to the user. So first I will open it. So if open, and I'm going to pass the path with the name. So this is our file, and now the mode is read because we are going to read now. So we are not going to do anything with that one other than reading. So once we read, the first thing is we need to check whether we open this file correctly with this mode. So therefore I'm going to check whether it's not equal to false. If it is not equal to false, so then we are going to read this file. So how we are going to read it? So we are going to use a while loop here, because we are going to get line by line, and in this case so we are going to get lines as an array, because f get csv method is actually given an array. So therefore we are going to define a variable. So this variable is an array, and we are going to put the values we are getting from CSV file into this array. And in this case we need to check whether we move to the last line or not. So now by using this fgetCSV, it's like fgets method. So this is reading line by line, and it is starting from the first point. So in this case, in this data.csv file, so now once we are going to start the reading process, so it's here because we are using R mode. In the R mode, so it's the cursor is here, but you can see the first line is not the actual text we need here, because it's a heading of the CSV file. So that means when we are displaying this information to the users, we need to skip this first record, then only we can get the actual or real values, real task. So to do that, we need to take this cursor point into this place. So how we are going to do it? So this is how we are going to do it. We are going to read it first without doing anything, just read it. So once you call to this method, okay, so it will read the first line. So now once you execute this line, it will read this first line. So that means now the cursor is here. So now here after, so we are actually going to use this while loop, and again once the cursor point comes into this location, so now we read all the information, all the data. So that means again we need to go away from the while loop once we come to this place. So therefore what I'm doing is I'm going to check whether I'm at the end by using this condition if it is not equal to false, because at the end we are getting a false because we don't have any line to go. So then this method will return a false value. So we are going to check until we are getting a false value. So that is what we are going to do here. Okay, now uh, with this, so we are getting line by line. So in this case, so if I go to this interface, okay, so now you can see we need to display a task number as well, but that is not there in our that is not there in our CSV file. So that means we need to generate it. To generate it, first I will create a variable here called row, and I will assign 1 as the value, and one by one I need to increase this by 1 as well. Therefore I will put it like this, and then I'm going to display this information to the user. So this is the HTML part that we are going to use in this case. So therefore first here I'm going to close this PHP and I'm going to open it again here, and in between these two tags I'm going to paste that tr1. So this tr is not required now, so I'm going to delete that, and this is what I'm going to repeat every time. Okay, now here the one means the task number. So the task number here we are having $row, so we are going to add that one. And then here the task name. So the task name, according to our file, the task name is the zeroth index one, and we are getting values under $data. So that means we can use echo $data and 0 like this. And the status is there the first index. So then we are going to pass the first index like this. So now if I run this project now, so you can see now we are getting the task 1. So I will add another task here, task 2. Okay, now task 2 is there. I will add another one, task 3. Okay, now the task 3 is there. So that is how we are going to display that information to the user. Okay, so now we will move to the next one. So the next one is okay, the next one okay, next one is task completion. So in this task completions, once user click on this button, so once user click on this completed button, so we need to change this status into complete. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So to do that, so we need to add some data into this data into this area. So because this is a button, okay, so once this button is going to display to the user, so we need to carry some information with this button, so that is the task ID. Okay, so I'm going to add that one. So I'm going to change this HTML part little bit. So I'm going to add href here to convert this button into a link. Okay, so href, and so we will use a specific file called update task.php here. Once you click on this button, so we are going to update task.php file, and here we are passing the row ID. So now here the row ID means this one, $row, and okay, so and then and we are going to close the anchor tag here, and again the closing tag. So after this, okay, so this is a delete button, therefore I will change this into delete task, and we need to add the same thing to complete button as well, because now we are going to work with the complete button. The complete button, so we will use update task.php file, and here we are going to close the anchor tag like this. So now if I run this one, okay, so you can see we are getting these buttons, but if I go to this button, now you can see at the bottom, so it's telling that this is row equal 1, this is row equal 2, this is row equal 3, and here also row equal 1, row equal 2, row equal 3. So you can see once I click this button, so we are having some query string here. With this query string, we are passing some information to the server side. So that is how we are going to do it. Now we are going to work with this completed button. Okay, okay, now I'm going to add another file called delete task.php and update task.php. We need two files here. Delete task, that is the first one, and second one we need to add update task. Okay, so now these are the two files that we need to use here, but in the very first case we are going to use update task. So with this update task, so we are getting this $row. So therefore first we are going to check whether this $row is set. If is set, $_get what, row. So row is the value that we are going to pass. Okay, else so we are going to redirect this user again to the home page. Okay, so we are going to use header, and location we are going to pass this user into index.php. And if this row value is if this value, we are getting this value to the server side when we are accessing this update task, so that means we are going to update this file. So how we are going to update it? First we need to yes, we need to read this file. So therefore we are again using this handle, and I'm going to use fopen, and here we are giving the file name data.csv, and the other one is mode. In this mode we are going to in this yeah, so in this case, so we are going to open this file in read mode. Okay, so because we are going to read first, so I will explain why we are going to use read. Because in the very first case we are going to read this file, and then we are going to filter out what are the information that we need to write. So in this first case we are going to read this file, and we are going to put the information which are available on this file to an array, and after that we are going to do the modifications. So then we are going to add that array again back to the file. So that is why I'm using read first. Okay, and here I will use an variable as well, selected selected record, and I will save this value under this selected record. So this is the selected record. Okay, so now once I open this file, first we need to check whether this is opening without any errors. So that is what I'm going to check here. Okay, so now if it is opening without any error, so then we are going to read this one. So how we are going to read it? So we are going to use a while loop here, and we are going to check whether we can whether this is opening by using if gets CSV, and we need to stop this reading process at the end of the file. Okay, so that means we are going to check whether it's not equal to false. Okay, not equal to false. Until that we are going to read it, but in this case also you can see that we are having the heading CSV heading row, so we are going to skip that one by reading it first. And now when you are reading this one, so we are going to add this information to a CSV to an array. Okay, so now I'm going to create an array here. So CSV data, so this is actually an array. Okay, so now I'm going to add this CSV data. I'm going to add this data into this CSV data array like this. Okay, like this we are going to add this, but in this case, if okay, if this the selected record, if when you are adding this selected record, we need to change this status into completed, because that is what we are going to do here. Okay, so then I need to specifically get this selected record. So how we are going to get it? So here again we need to use something called dollar row, and we need to make this equal to 1, and then we need to increase this by 1 as well, the same way that we did previously. So we are going to use the same approach here. Now I'm going to have a if condition. Okay, if this dollar row is equal to, if this is equal to the selected row, that means this is what we need to change now. Okay, so if this is this selected row and the row that we are currently reading is equal, so in that case, okay, we need to change this status. So the status means, so that is there with the first index status into what? Completed. See, so we need to change this status into completed. Then we are going to save that thing to the CSV data. Okay, now at the end, okay, so now at the end, so we are going to close this file. So if open, not if open, if close, and we are going to close this file. So now we read this information, and we added this information to the to an array. Okay, so now what we are going to do, so we are going to write this array again back to the file. Okay, so that means again we are using the same set of steps here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same set of steps here. one. Oh, sorry, that's there. Okay. After this, we are going to open this data.csv file, but now in the write mode, because we are going to delete all the existing data, and we are going to write the new values. Okay. And if we can open this file, so then the first thing is we are going to write one record here, so that is the heading part. So we are going to use f put csv here, and first we are going to add the heading part. So this is the heading part, task and status. Okay, so we are going to add that thing here. That thing here. So first we need to mention which file we are going to write here and which data. So now the data we need to pass as an array. Okay, so this is the data that we are going to pass very beginning. So that is the heading of this CSV file, header row. Okay, now we added this one. So after that we need to read this CSV file, not CSV, this array file. Okay, $CSV data. So we are going to use this for each loop here, and so we are going to get this as data. Okay, data, and then we are going to use this the same method, if put csv, and we are going to write this data back to the file like this. Okay, then we are going to close this file like this. So we are going to close this file. So now I will run this one and see whether this is going to work. Okay, so this is our application. Now I'm going to mark this as completed. Okay, so we are going to okay, we didn't redirect the user still. So once we complete this process, so that means so in this case we are going to complete one, and after that we need to redirect this user back to the index.php file. Okay, like this. Now if I run this one, so now we can see its status changed, because last time it actually changed but we didn't redirect, so therefore we didn't see this information, but now it's changed. So we will try another one here. So I'm going to click on this one. Okay, now you can see it's changed to complete. So that is also completed now, completion part. And the last one is deletion, how to delete. So that is easy. So the same way we can use. So this is the code actually we use to update. So the same code we can use to delete as well, but in this case, so in this case, so what we did, once this row is equal to the selected row, so we updated this information. But in this case we can skip this part, so then actually we are not writing that record information to the file, so then it will be deleted from the csv file. So that is easy. So nothing, we don't need to do any other thing. So the first thing is we are going to check here if this if this is if this dollar underscore get row is set. If this is not set, we will move this user back to the index.php file by using the header function. Okay, and then first we are going to read this file. So dollar handle, and we are going to use fopen here, and we are going to pass the name as data.csv, and mode is read, because first we are going to read. We are going to follow the same structure approach here, first reading and putting into the array, then we are again back we are writing back to the file. And then so we need to check whether we can open this file. So we can check it like this. not equal to false, so then we can open it. And then we are going to use the same structure, so like here. So once we open, so we are going to first we are going to read the first line because we need to skip this header, and then we are going to create an array and we are going to have a row ID. So we will add the same things here, and then we are going to read this file. Okay, so we are going to read this file, so we will take this part as well. The same thing we are also going to do here. So we are reading it, but in this case, so now if the row and the selected record is equal, so we need to skip this row because we are going to delete it. How we are going to skip? So we can use the continue keyword here. So then we are not going to add that information to the we are not going to add that information to the CSV file, and also we are not going to increase the row number 1 because row from 1, because we are not going to add that information again to the CSV. Then we will use the other part, and so this part, so we don't have anything to change in this part. Okay, so here again we are opening this one, and first we are writing this header, task and status, and we are reading this CSV file. Now in this CSV data array we don't have that record because we didn't add that record into this CSV array. So now we are going to read it, and we are going to add that CSV data array information to the CSV file. So then we are going to close the file. So if I run this now, okay, you can see one, I'm going to delete task 1. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So dollar get record, dollar get row. Okay, sorry, here actually we couldn't so this is one, so this one we couldn't add this line dollar selected record, so we don't have this selected record in this case. Okay, so now let's run this one. Okay, we will see what's the error here. So here if is set this one, so we are going to get this dollar selected record, and we are going to get this value, and we are going to save it. And after that we are going to read this one, I mean this is not false, so then we are going to get this CSV, and so we are going to open this one first because we need to skip that record, and then we are going to put this data into an array. While this is reading, if this row is equal to selected record, so then we are going to continue. So that means we are not going to uh, uh, we are not going to use this one. And after that okay, and after that here in this case, so we are going to add data, so we will go to data.csv. okay, so we don't have any data, so that means actually we are having a problem in this case. So we will check what is the problem. So once this part is okay completed, so we need to use this dollar handle fopen data.csv. uh, okay, so this is the delete task. So we will go to our index.php file. So this is the delete task, and we are going to pass this row as well. So okay, so let's add a task first. So we will add task 1, and we are going to add this task. Okay, so now this task is successfully added to the system. We will add another task, so this is also added, and we will add another task, so this is also added. Now we are having 3 tasks, so now I am going to delete first task. Okay, so once I delete it's not displaying anything, so that means once I go to this data.csv file, so we will open this data.csv file, you can see that it's not writing. So that means we are having the problem in this case, this place. So the way we are writing this data, to the file, to the data.csv file. Okay, let's see what's happening here. But we use the same thing which we used here. This one, eh? Okay, so here $handle equal f open data.csv, right? Okay, that's true. Then if this $handle equal to not equal to false, so that means we are going to okay, we are going to open this file, and then we are going to first we are going to write this one. Okay, so this is also working well, and then $data cs as data. Okay, so this is the array that we are using now. Okay, I will create this array before this if condition. Okay, like this. So before this if condition, I'm going to add this array now. So let's try now whether we are getting any errors. So first one. Okay, so we will add a few more tasks here. So 2 tasks. Okay, let's see what's going on. So now we are reading, so that is true. So we are writing this part. So the problem is with this line, I think. So we are reading this one. So for now we will comment this one, and then we will put kind of text here to debug this error. Okay, like this we will add some text here. Okay, so now let's try from the first step. So I'm going to add task 1. Okay, I'm going to add task 2, I'm going to add task 3 here. So now I will go to this data.csv file. So you can see task 1, task 2, task 3 is there. So now I'm going to use this completed button. So once I use the completed, it will mark this as completed. If I go to this status, now you can see this data.csv file change this status into completed. Okay, now the next thing is the delete button. So once I click delete button, okay, now we are moving to delete task.php and with the value 1. So that means we are in this file now, but we are not going inside this one. Okay, we will see whether we are going into this position. So if I okay, we are in this position, but we are not going here. Okay, we will read $data CSV 0 0 to check whether we are having any data with this one. Okay, so we don't have any data, so we will see what is the problem now. Okay, in this case, so we are going to write data to the CSV file after this line. So that means we are going to check whether the row is equal to the selected record. Okay, so in the very first case we are getting 1, and then we are okay, so this is the problem. So now we can see that, so this continue is working, because in the very first case we are getting 1, and the selected record is also 1. So if I select the second record, this will work actually, but here the selected record is also 1. Okay, so now it's checking this one, 1 and equal to 1, so then it's going to continue, and then that means the continue, after that continue only we are adding this part. So that means because of this continue one, so this won't execute. Because of that, every time we are having 1, the selected record is also 1, every time this is going to end from here. So that is the problem we are having now. So so what we need to do here, so this is what we need to do. So we need to change this we need to change this code. So how we are going to change it, we need to increase this. So I mean actually we need to execute this as well. So I will put it like this, so like this, and I will change this into 0, and now I'm going to remove this part. So now in this case before going to execute these lines, so first we are going to increase it by 1, and then we are going to the other part. So now we will see it should work now. Okay, so I'm going to delete this additional test I have added to debug this one. I have added another thing, yes, that. So this one, the redirection, and we checked whether we are getting any values. Okay, so now I will run this one. Here I'm going to add task 1, task 2, and task 3. So I'm going to delete the first task. Okay, now it's working. So now you can see what's the problem. So in your case also you can see that if you are getting any problem, so then you can print the values that you are getting in different status. So that's kind of a debugging process. Okay, so we can see the values what we are getting, and then based on these values we can identify what is the error. So in my case, what was happened, actually I'm going to increase this row by 1 after this line, but since I'm using continue and continue, so because of this one, this the rest of the code is not going to execute. But here, without increasing this row, the value which is comes with the row, so this condition not becoming false, because I'm going to delete the record 1 in this case. So that is what happened. So therefore I changed my logic a little bit. So I'm starting from 0, and I'm going to increase it by 1 in this position. So after that only I'm going to execute this if condition. Now it's working. So I will run it again. So now I'm going to add another task here. So now it is task 3. Okay, we are having 3 tasks. So now I'm going to delete it, the last one, so this one. So now you can see it's deleted. So if I need to delete the first one, okay, so now it also deleted. Okay, so this is how we are going to add this data, and how we are going to delete. So now we will move to the activity. So that is what we need to do, add a button to delete, and use the PHP handle the task deletion by removing it from the CSV file. So now we completed that part as well. So that is all for this activity. So this is kind of an interactive activity, you can see it. It's a dynamic one, because actually we are not so that means based on the user's actions, we are going to do the changes in this application. Because if I'm adding one here, and then I'm going to add it, and if I'm going to delete it, so then I'm going to delete. If I need to mark completed, so then I can mark this as completed. Okay, so thank you. So hope you also can complete this task by going through this video. Thank you.